Loneliness is the coat you wear, a deep shade of blue is always there. The sun ain't gonna shine anymore, the moon ain't gonna rise in the sky, the tears are always clouding your eyes when you're without love, baby. Emptiness is the place you're in, with nothing to lose, but no more to win. The sun ain't gonna shine anymore, the moon ain't gonna rise in the sky, the tears are always clouding your eyes when you're without love, lonely without you, baby.
I won't be coming home, I won't be going anywhere, I will guard this post forever. Here on the Alpine slope, where I did my final stand, I shall remain among the ice and snow that binds me to this mountain. A force of nature too strong, sent from above, where spirits lead the way, the winds will never fade. White Friday, I'll take the stairway to heaven. I'm sky high when I die, I'll be immortal forever. I never, I won't return to Blood Mountain. I am the soldier of heaven.
All right, hi everybody, it's me again. Yeah, I thought I'd turn the camera back on. Let's get back to work. Let's do some of these head sketches publicly. I have 3 characters that I get to draw over and over and over again. It's got to be boring as hell, but it's boring for me. I just thought move the microphone a little closer to me, but I thought I'd share this time with you. Meanwhile, I'm also, because people are like, "Hey, it's too quiet," blah blah blah. Yeah, it is. Let me. I'm listening to these guys,
Yeah, I have to say, I really
which I'm
dug that.
enjoying as well.
Like,
So,
the boxes were like you could.
is there a way I could switch this around?
Yeah, it was so much.
Let me
It
see.
was several,
Yeah, that's better.
Square feet of soil. Yeah.
These guys are talking. This is Matt Wagner
I
and
haven't seen it
Kelly
yet, 'cause,
Jones
I've
on
been
with Graham Nolan,
shying away
It's a lot
from
of
it.
fun, man. I'd recognize.
talking about their
No,
Dracula
I
project,
It's a monster flick, you know.
which I find
I would
interesting.
recommend it, but I wouldn't.
I've never
say
met Matt
that,
Wagner before.
It enters the level of, say, Langella's Dracula.
How are you guys tonight?
Or the
What's
Monster
up?
Squad, actually. Duncan Rieger's
Great
Dracula.
to see you guys. So many
But
people in here.
It has enough good stuff in it, and I have to say that for that end, it is fine. But like Matt, I kept waiting to just see him as the full empirical great Dracula, and then he can be a monster.
And truthfully, we didn't even need to really see him. His hand and his voice.
That would have been
enough.
fine.
Yeah.
Right.
That would have been fine. I would have taken that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the director.
They're excited about their
directed,
Dracula book,
a
that's for
movie that
sure.
I really enjoyed the Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yes, that is a great film.
And
Yeah.
Troll Hunter.
I'm sorry, what's the name?
And Troll Hunter. You ever seen Troll Hunter?
Oh yeah, and Troll Hunter. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that film.
I do. I love
And
both.
the direction's quite good. Again, I think the script just failed at the end, you know. But
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny you should mention that, Graham, because of course, how many cinematic versions are there of Dracula? I mean, so many. And Kelly and I have talked ad infinitum about what we love about each and every one of them, and how all of them kind of missed the mark.
Yeah,
all of
right.
them aren't just right for us, weren't satisfying, which led to us saying, all right, time to do our version and hit the mark that we're looking for.
That's interesting.
What did you guys?
I don't
think
know.
of
I mean,
the
there's so
Dan
many
Curtis-
people working on these characters that are in the public
We've been talking
domain.
about that recently too, because of the age we are.
I don't know how I
we
feel
both love
about it.
Because of the age we are, there was no, there weren't even DVDs at that point, or VCRs at that point.
Yeah.
When that aired. And so if you wanted to see monster movies when Kelly and I were a kid, you had to go through the TV guide at the beginning of the week and mark them all off.
That's right.
That was on prime time. That was a monster movie that was on prime time, its first showing. And so it was so readily available. And I love that portrayal. The screenplay's by Richard Matheson, who of course wrote
Oh, he's
Legend.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
Richard
Night
Matheson.
Stalker and
And he wrote the screenplay of the Night
So
Stalker,
many
too, which
Twilight
Curtis also
Zones.
produced. Curtis
Yeah.
had a hand on all that horror stuff in the mid '70s. There,
Well, I'm a big fan of Dan Curtis.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
just make your own property.
In fact,
Lethal
I think,
Diva,
Wings
I
of War
completely
were
agree.
remembered
Like, these
are the
guys.
best
So you got an
portrayals of
idea,
World War II.
and their idea about Dracula is interesting. They're just like, well, he's like the king of vampires.
And he brought a lot
Well,
of
is he? I mean, it says who? I've never heard that. King of vampires. He's just a vampire.
But,
Actually, Graham called him the king of the undead.
Dracula.
And that's interesting, but I think that's more about reputation
That
from
version of
like
Dracula has a real
fans
muscularity to it.
rather than the actual truth. If you want to do like king of the undead, I mean, that's a whole other.
Yeah.
Why don't you make something new?
First time I ever saw
But you know what? There's so many, like, this is the thing that people are programmed to work on properties that other people own, and they just, they're comfortable doing it. You've got Sean Gordon Murphy working on Zorro right now. These creator-owned properties, Sherlock Holmes, Dracula, et cetera, are pretty close to Batman and Spider-Man. But you don't have to answer to a company. The reputation, the work's already been done.
The only issue I have with a lot of
I just think these guys could do something of their own. And I mean, they have, Grendel and,
It's a TV pace.
et cetera, but
it's old TV pace.
Yes, exactly. And that might have to be
King of the
Legend,
Vampires.
Yeah.
King of the Vampires. Your boy Zach working on,
They were fantastic,
They were
working on
fantastic.
Rambo.
That is the very first
Joan of Arc is a boner killer.
this,
Joan of Arc, Boner Killer. That's the name of your book, I guess.
of Dracula,
All right.
considering Mina to be the reincarnation of his lost love, which was later.
I mean, I get it. It's pretty neat.
Resurrected in the.
There is something kind of
Coppola version.
compelling about getting to work on these
people think
characters that
that's
you've
an
loved
accurate
your whole
portrayal of
life
Dracula,
without having to answer to
It's
anyone.
Not in the book at all. He has no connection to Mina. He has no attraction.
Frankenstein. Oh, Graham did Joe Frankenstein, so Graham's doing it too.
He's a predator. He is a creature of hunger and lust for power, and that's it.
And I love the fact that when I watched the Curtis version, the vampires ran at you.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't do any kind of seductive thing. They just
The brides at Harker, they just swarm on them like rats. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all over
Yeah.
Harker.
Like
So,
ravenous wolves.
yeah.
It was really frightening.
Yeah.
And
And I think that's the first time they ever showed that scene where Dracula cuts his chest and Mina is sucking on the blood to become.
I'm gonna do Dracula versus Santa Claus.
But that is from the book.
Santa
But
Claus,
that is-
another
yeah,
public domain
it's
character,
more of a rape.
as popular as anyone.
But I
There's
do
nothing
think
romantic about it,
yeah,
No.
I think you saw it in Dracula, Prince of Darkness. He cut
Yeah,
his
yeah.
chest.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I just realized, like, I do, I do under Panta Claus, so I'm kind of taking a character that's in the public domain and well loved.
As the Impaler.
I don't think I've learned how to make any money doing under Panta Claus, but I do work on that famous public domain character in my way.
He's got Palance's face painted in. It's just.
You ever wonder where that painting is?
I don't know, man.
Yeah. 'Cause
Dracula saves Christmas. Wherefore Zeus just says there better be. Yeah, there will be. We got an under Panta Claus idea. We're ready to go.
Every one of the night gallery.
I mean, I don't know the origin of that. It could be an
Dracula saves Christmas.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Oh, that could be good. We got some really creative and smart people in the chat. It's a pleasure.
I didn't know that this.
I don't think anybody else has a chat as good as mine. I really don't.
I love
I have Night Gallery on DVD. I haven't really gotten into it.
Come in and bought all of.
I should like it, but I just haven't gotten into it.
Put it up in his house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's a great story.
Wow, that's cool. Did you know that?
Did you know that Ethan is EFAPing our show right now?
Ranger in World War II?
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something.
He was a fascinating guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
Yeah, really. I've seen some.
We got a bunch of stuff to EFAP. I got some Your Boy Zach video that came out today. Tim Pool shouted out the gay Green Lantern and compared it to Isom. He said Isom is taking over like the Rippaverse. And the gay Green Lantern's failing is actually good to that end. That's interesting. I like to see Tim Pool kind of comment on the comic book world. And a couple other things. So I can do a show. I can put on a show. If I actually plan it, I can host a conversation while I'm just drawing. Not a problem. I can do it, guys. Don't worry. You're in the right place. 302 people here. There's nothing better on tonight. Stay here with me.
I will fully admit here that Kelly and I are absolute noobs and idiots when it comes to this stuff. So we have people that are running the campaign for us. And
wow.
That question just arose like this morning, so I didn't even know that was a possibility. So we will be. I imagine so, but I can't say for certain as yet.
And we've been inundated with like doing an artist edition with it. I mean, I must have gotten over 300 or 400.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
Inquiries on are you going to do this black and white artist edition? And
yes.
And the answer to that is yes, but again, we're just wrapping this part up now.
Yeah, so, and crowdfund that.
Yeah. And that I'll let Matt handle.
Gee, thanks, pal.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought drawing this thing would be enough for him. I didn't realize this last 3 weeks.
Is this Wednesday or Thursday? What is today? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think it's a Wednesday, right?
Deal sell my comics.
Right.
There at the top, this is our premium tier. We have 20 available, 20 original sketches by Kelly and I. Kelly's on the left there. I'm on the right. Those are the expensive tier because they're original pieces.
Right.
And we're only doing a maximum of 20 each.
Yeah. Okay.
Those will come in a hand decorated black envelope. They're gonna look really cool.
How will that be? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then there's our
Thursday for Bancroft. Oh, it's Wednesday today. Thursday for Bancroft in New Zealand. All right, hold on. I'll turn up the volume a little bit.
Capture the essence and the spirit of the comics that we loved when we were kids. So creepy, eerie, heavy metal, and so we did this. It's 8.5 by 11, not standard American comic book size. So it's more the same size as a European album.
European, yeah.
Yeah. So there's Kelly's cover, and then right below it is my variant cover.
Beautiful.
Nice. That is nice. I really like Matt's cover.
Do you have a perk level where you can get the two together? Okay,
sure,
beautiful.
Yep. And plenty of people who have done that. Yeah. So here, let's take a second to talk about this. People think they know Dracula.
How's the campaign doing?
So when we first announced this, I got a response on Twitter. Excuse me, X. From a guy named Leslie Klinger, who is considered one of the world's foremost Dracula scholars. He has written exhaustively annotated editions of the complete works of Sherlock Holmes, and of Dracula, and of Jekyll and Hyde, and of Frankenstein. And he said, "Wow, this sounds really exciting. I'm very happy to hear this." And so I contacted
Jekyll and Hyde's public domain too, right?
I have your annotated Dracula. I've pored over it time and time again, and we would love to be able to send you the book in advance, a digital copy. And if you feel inspired to give us a quote or a blurb, that's great. If not, just honored to be able to show it to you. And he sent us this terrific quote that just made us feel like we'd gotten an A+ in Dracula 101.
Well, Matt got the A+. I just drew it. Matt actually wrote the essay for the professor.
Wow.
And here, let me read it real quick. It says, Wagner and Jones have brilliantly, terrifyingly filled in the crucial gap in the history of Voivode Dracula, how he transformed from a monstrous warrior into an actual monster. Wholly convincing, totally canonical. Don't read this without a lot of garlic and crosses at hand.
Nice. Now, where does that first name come? Voivode.
Voivode is Romanian for warlord.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's
Okay.
that's Del
Wow.
Keown.
See what you learn, folks,
Yep.
on this.
Yep.
On
I
this
learned a lot.
And some people might know, Vlad. You often see Vlad. He's either called Vlad the Third, which he was, or that's why he's called Dracula. His father, Vlad the Second, was a member of a fraternal order called the Sacred Order of the Dragon, and so he was Dracula, the son of the dragon. And he's often also referred to as Vlad Cepes, spelled Tepes.
Yeah.
And Cepes is Romanian for impaler.
Okay. I always thought it was a tepish. I didn't know that it was that.
I'm a bit of an
At the beginning, yeah.
impaler myself.
Very
If
nice.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Wow.
So keep scanning down there. You'll see.
Hey,
some
you
of
guys for this show. My goodness, I'm learning so much.
We knows our Dracula.
Yeah,
You knows your Dracula.
Whoa.
after this, we
Here's-
certainly do.
Here's some of Kelly's just magnificent art. This is a really good opportunity to talk about our colorist, Jose Villarrubia.
Oh, not that guy.
First thought of Jose for this gig. I mean, I've enjoyed.
He
his
is a
colors for many years.
total
I think he's
SJW.
terrific.
Jose
But very
Villarrubia.
recently, he was doing beautiful
Yeah.
restoration work on Wright's and Swamp Thing for DC.
Right.
For these big fancy editions, and he was also doing restoration on the Corbin Library for Dark Horse, Richard Corbin Library. And I've always had this opinion, which I, hit with Kelly right at the beginning. Like, Kelly, we need to get somebody that was going to color you bright, because people tend to color Kelly's art dark and moody because his art is dark and moody. And I'm always just like, no, he's already done the dark and moody. Don't add. You're just going to clot up all his beautiful line work and his very eloquent inking.
Yeah.
And so when Jose came on board, I said, Jose, look, man, we're looking for something bright. I said, specifically, we want this to look like an Italian giallo film. I said, think of Dario Argento's Suspiria, or more importantly, Mario Bava's Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Black Sunday.
I can't help but think of
Black
those.
Sabbath.
Black Sabbath.
You
I
look
thought
at
Black
this.
Sabbath was black and white.
No, Black Sunday is. Black
Okay.
Sabbath is the one. It's an anthology of 3 stories with Boris Karloff narrating.
And
Okay.
Ethan the Inhaler.
Karloff's a vampire.
Karloff he's a Verdelak.
Yeah.
In it.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
great
Murdoch.
too.
Yeah.
But those 2 films are lit up like pinball machines, and they're scary as shit. So
Yeah. Like
Jose
it's Planet of the
totally-
Vampires, with all that theatrical lighting.
Yeah. No, Jose, and theatrical lighting. I mean, Kelly uses theatrical lighting in almost every panel.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like Will Eisner in that regard. And
Will.
and so Jose just totally got what I was talking about and really brought it in spades. I mean, keep scanning down there. You'll see some more.
Yeah, he's great.
Some more.
Oh, definitely. Kelly works.
It doesn't look
in
that
such
good.
contrast,
Can I just say
black
the
and
colors
white.
don't look
He
that
puts
good.
textures in, but there's very little.
And
gray
you paid an
tones,
SJW.
cross-hatching, that type of stuff. So when you have flatter colors like he's putting on, but you're using color theory to bring out the shapes and forms, the stuff is magical.
It pops,
It's
yeah,
gorgeous. The last thing you need is somebody to go in there and model everything.
Yep, we
on
did
Kelly's
not want
art.
that. Yep.
No.
Yep. And he gives us a few computer effects here and there where they're appropriate, but generally we said, Jose, we want this old school, and he understood what that meant.
Yes,
Nice.
But,
Hey, Dr. Mass Retro Elixir, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Hail, love all you guys. Just backed. It looks great. Matt, thanks for the Batman Mad Monk and Monster Men series you did, and Madame Xanadu series.
I
Xanadu.
love Madame Xanadu. I
Nice.
love that. Yes, I love that.
Thanks,
Okay.
Dr. Mask. Beautiful.
That was a project I didn't want to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My ex brother-in-law and dear buddy Bob Schreck
Oh.
had just moved over to Vertigo from DC proper, and he really wanted a big series, and he approached me about doing this, and he already had an artist in mind, this gal Amy Reeder.
How was
And
Bob
her
Schreck your
previous work was all
brother-in-law?
very manga influenced, and when I looked at it, I was like,
He's a
Bob, I'm
homosexual.
not seeing it, man. I don't know. And he's just like, yeah, just trust me, man. I think we can really make this work. And I very happy to say I was proven totally wrong. Amy just stepped up to the plate and really aced her game and did wonderful, wonderful work on it. And then I was only going to do the first year of it, the first 12 issues. And Shrek came to me and said, how about if I can get Kaluta to do the next arc? And I was like, well, yeah, okay.
Hello?
That's not going to happen. He called me like an hour later. Got him.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So that was too good to say no to. Then I just stuck around after that because I was invested by that point. So
I love
These
Kaluta
guys are like
stuff.
the last
I
of
do
the
too.
old school
God,
comic
so good.
nerds.
yeah,
He was
here's
going
the
to do a
sad part,
cover.
though.
He was going to
The
do a
series
cover.
got
for-
canned around issue 30 or 32, and Kaluta wanted to do another arc, and I had a terrific
Oops.
idea in mind that was so fucking cool.
Mhm.
And it never came to be. And I ran into him at New York Con one time, and I said to him, dude, I'm so disappointed. You know, I had this great idea in mind, and I started to launch into it, and he's like, no, I don't want to hear about a cool story I don't get to draw.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't let me tell him.
Yeah, you got to email it to him now.
Yeah, I would torture him with that.
Kelly,
Look at
remind me. I'll tell you about it someday. I
This
don't
is like-
I don't want to
This is
make
like
it too
this
public,
is like
but-
the dead man's ass right here.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
You talk about the impaler. There you go.
Well, you know what was good was Matt was so good at his research on the story that when he talked about the impaling, I went and did a lot of research on various things
On
that
impaling
Vlad
people.
himself had done.
Okay.
And when you do that, you do read how they did these things 5,
Be
6,
horrific.
and it was
Oh.
unbelievable. I didn't know the details of actual impaling. And then when you heard it, you went, "Oh my god!"
That's
you
hard.
know,
Right up the ass, right?
Yeah. Well, that was how they did it.
Yeah.
Or vaginally for women. You
Uh,
know?
Yes.
Vaginally for women, anally for men, and
And then the gravity and the weight of your body would pull you down, and slowly this state
Graham,
would-
they knew how to miss all the vital stuff, so you would suffer for 2-3
as long
days.
as possible.
Yeah.
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 So-
These guys
so you
were
knew
talented.
That there were people who knew what they were doing. and
Talented
and,
impalers.
when
So
I
these, when he would execute a ton of people, and in one this scene right here, he executed up to 20,000 of the enemy.
20,000.
And they weren't all dead at the same time, so they
No.
would all be moaning and shrieking just continually. You know, I mean,
And
just-
it was men, women, and children.
yep.
He didn't see a difference.
He was undiscriminating. Yeah.
No, and his thing was, as Matt had said, he thought he was doing. You know, he cloaked it in the will of God, but it
That's
was
what
the
I
will
do.
of Vlad.
Yeah. Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, yeah. God had nothing to do with that.
No, God had nothing to do with it. It was the will of Vlad.
Wow, that's brutal. I mean, people don't realize what crucifixion is. You
Yeah.
know, what that does. It's just, basically you're suffocating. You know.
Yeah.
'cause
You
you're-
can't draw yourself up to get a breath.
yeah, which is why you don't have that, and they give you that little platform maybe to just push up because that's natural to give you
To torture you
all that-
even more. Yeah.
right so that you last a little longer.
Yep.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's
Well, and he probably learned it from the Turkish Ottoman Empire.
Those
because he was
fucking
there for 10
Turks.
years. So he
Right.
saw what they
7.
did,
7 years.
or 7 years.
yeah.
He was part of a hostage exchange program when he was 10 years old. He and his
Right.
brother were sent to live with the Muslim Turkish Muslims, the opposing army.
What a
And,
nightmare.
Similarly, two Turkish princes were sent to live in his father's court. But yeah, the reports were he experienced a lot of brutality there.
And in all
And
honesty,
it would be the sort of brutality where they would try to brutalize them without injuring them, because of course they're honored hostages. You know, you
right?
can't really fuck them up too much.
No,
But
Well, you know where the term Roman candle comes from?
no.
back in the Roman days, they would lock Christians in these cages. They would pour oil on them and light them up on fire in
Wow.
the streets.
Who is
Wow.
they?
And
I
that's
think
where
we
the
know
term
who
Roman
they
candle
is.
comes
Oh,
from.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, tell them about handbags.
Oh yeah. Just we've been in these interviews. We've been uncovering some cool, gruesome facts. Contrary to what contemporary cinema would have you believe, generally women were not on the battlefield in the old days, but
What?
they were often sent in to count the dead enemies, right? To find out what losses the enemy had experienced, right?
Yeah.
And of course, there were piles and piles of body, and they couldn't move them, so they would lop off hands and stick them in a satchel they carried at their side, and those became known as handbags. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, we were doing an interview the other night, and it was with a couple of British guys, and they were pointing out that in Britain, this means fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this means victory. This means fuck you. It dates back to medieval days. The enemies, when they would capture archers, would lop off their drawing fingers.
Ah.
So these were the archers taunting their enemies, saying, "Fuck you! I'm still going to shoot you."
That's cool.
And
it gives you a great way to flip somebody off without them knowing it.
Yeah,
Right. Right. I think you're giving them the peace sign.
Yeah, exactly.
Churchill.
I bought my wife a handbag.
Josh
just the
Matara
other
knows
day.
that's a myth.
And
I know. I'm listening to this going, that's complete bullshit.
But I can see my wife actually doing that for me.
Of course, Kelly's gift had hands in it.
I could see my wife hacking off hands to show that we had won the war. Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
They're such
All right,
nerds.
let's continue on here. Oh, look at this. Look at this.
So this is page 1 of our book, and there's Dracula's beginning of his journal, his notation. That was what we heard there in the trailer at the beginning.
Okay.
That's pretty much a word for word reading of that script. We went around and around on this image because we knew it had to capture Dracula, but we didn't want to show Dracula yet. This being an origin story, you don't want to start off with your money shot, right?
Right.
We still needed a money shot, and we finally ended up on this, and boy, it's just beautiful. Just a beautiful rendition.
Yeah. I love the teeth motif
Yep.
in the moon.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
No, that's true because the other 2 pages are as comic book art. I think they are fabulous, but as storytelling, they're wrong.
Yeah, that was our third version of that page.
Yeah.
Which one? This one?
The first page, yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly did a version based on my script, and it matched my script. But I called him, I was like, oh man, and I explained why. I was like, we're just not hitting the mark we need to hit here, and he tried another one, and I was like, yeah, we're still not hitting the mark. Third time's a charm, because this one's beautiful.
Fat Pedro Pascal cast as Reed Richards. Maybe, possibly, might not be
yeah,
true.
we'll include those. Yep.
We'll show all
Depending
of that
on his
stuff.
schedule,
But
so
Matt
it's
was
not
right,
official.
And I had felt that at the time, when you trust who you're working with, when you trust them, you go.
When you're working with
Because
Liam Gray,
in your heart when you go.
you know it. You
Yeah,
know the
it's
trust.
good. Good doesn't
I
mean
just got done watching Matt
what you
Barr
go
stream.
with.
That's
Good is
hilarious.
right.
correct is what you go with.
Mhm.
Right.
And storytelling is everything. that
Admiral Oil
matters.
Capsule, thank
Mhm.
you.
Good.
And Andrew for
Yeah,
your
I
kind
keep-
words and continued
I keep
generosity
saying
earlier.
I'm the storytelling.
Truly
bitch on
appreciate
this
it. Thanks
project.
also to Mikey, my fellow Stockholm
I'm the
boys.
one that,
So
even with
pleasure.
Jose's colors, I'll be like, looks great, except
Thank you.
this stresses this point too much. We need to dial that back, and
No, when you trust
You
someone,
sound like me, Matt.
yeah.
yes, exactly. When you trust someone, you go with it.
Yeah.
And I never, Matt would always say, "Well, I'm really sorry." I go, "Don't be sorry because I want it right.
Yeah.
I want it right." And getting it right is far more important than time it takes.
Yeah, and being an artist myself, I didn't want to seem heavy-handed with it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to seem imperial. But
Yeah.
luckily, I will say, whenever I'm asking for a change like that, I have a good reason and I know how to express it.
Yep.
And he did. And the thing was that when someone's writing something truly authentic, with
Yeah.
no modernity, with just we're in 1460. I respected that a tremendous amount. And coupled with his career, I honestly feel Matt's a genius. And Matt always gets in. There are people who are geniuses, and
He laughs like a genius.
Genuinely so.
He laughs like a
So
nerdy
at that
genius.
point, I figured I'm feeling that already. But you get one chance to get it right.
Yeah. Yep.
And this was going to be in print
Uncle
forever. So I
A,
didn't
you
give a
see the
damn
Daily
how I
Wire
felt.
Twitter drama.
I sublimated ego
No.
and said, "Yeah, you're right.
Daily
Let's get this
Wire.
right."
And you know,
That's
my
because you're
What's
one
that?
of a kind, Kelly.
All right, let's take a look.
My approach to comic.
We got to find out what the Daily Wire Twitter drama is. Daily Wire Twitter. All right, I don't see it there. I see Pedro Pascal is trending. Alex Jones. Hold on. What is this? Okay, hold on. I'll share this. Let me see. Share this tab. I don't know what this is all about. Top stories. I stand with Candace Owens, and since it appears identity politics is allowed at Daily Wire now, I can say that she is a patriot and a black queen. What the hell? Breaking news. Ben Shapiro just told Candace Owens that she can quit the Daily Wire. Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means, quit. Wow, dude. What is this?
Pro-Israel comedian on my show the other day, and I explained this to him. I said, you are demanding that we have this same response that you are having about what people are saying on college campuses. The rhetoric on college campuses hasn't changed. Did you not remember what they were saying, what professors were saying, the anti-white explicit racism that was happening, and not even just allowed in terms of student protests, but was written into the curriculum at these universities for years. People were learning this actively in school, that whiteness was associated with wrongness. You had college professors that were writing about this need there need to be less white people in America. You can find these articles. They exist online.
They're everywhere.
They're
and
everywhere.
that seems genocidal. I mean, if you're
It
saying...
is genocidal.
Like, by definition.
I was very happy to host somebody who was pro-Israel. He's a pro-Israel comedian on my show the other day, and I explained this to him. I said, you are demanding that we have
Just
this same
another
response that you
thing
are
that's going to
having
divide
about
everybody
what
up.
people are saying on college campuses. The rhetoric on college campuses hasn't changed. Did you not remember what they were saying, what professors were saying, the anti-white explicit racism that was happening, and not even just allowed in terms of student protests, but was written into the curriculum at these universities for years. People were learning this actively in school, that whiteness was associated with wrongness. You had college professors that were writing about this need there need to be less white people.
Erase your whiteness.
Articles, they exist online.
They're everywhere.
They're
and
everywhere.
that seems genocidal.
That was Patrick
I mean,
Tomlinson.
It is genocidal.
Like, by definition.
I was very happy to host somebody who was pro-Israel. He's a
All right.
pro-Israel.
So what are we
comedian.
doing here? Is this the same thing over and over again? All right. Let me see. How do we get rid of this? Down. All right. Blessed are the peacemakers. Wow. For they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. No one can serve two masters. Either you hate one and love the other, you'll be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Christ is king. Wow. Look, Ethan Rouse like, hit him up. Wow, she's going after not Tucker Carlson, going after Ben Shapiro. You cannot serve both God and money. Cough, cough, Ben Shapiro, cough, cough. Well, and then Ben Shapiro just comes back, hey, if you think taking our money comes between you and God, then quit. Damn. Ben Shapiro. What is going on here?
Yes, the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt, I think it's I mean, she still works for my company. I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable. Yes.
Wow.
The question is.
Oh, so things aren't going too well. All right, what is this? What a vile piece of shit. Candace, okay, she says, you have been acting unprofessional and emotionally unhinged for weeks now, and we have all had to sit back and allow it, and have all tried to exercise exceeding understanding for your raw emotion. But you cross a certain line when you come for scripture and read yourself into it. I will not tolerate it. She says, Ben Shapiro calls for Candace Owens to quit the Daily Wire after she posted a Bible verse. What a vile piece of shit. Wow, dude, this is interesting. I'm genuinely confused. Why asking questions and quoting Bible verses about peace warrants a call to resign from Daily Wire. There should be more room in the conservative movement for disagreement. We can do better than this. Oh, amazing. Dear Trump, please deport fat people. Oh, well, this is interesting. Let's get oh man, I do miss Milo. Let's get Milo back. As Daily Wire explodes, a look back at happier times between Ben and Candace. Oh my God, hilarious. Well, I mean, look, it's we're heading into some war here. Everybody's very sensitive about it, except for me. I decided not to have an opinion on this one thing. I just don't need it. Oh no. Drama. Well, listen, everybody's out there farming drama right now except for me. I am not farming any drama. I'm simply learning about Dracula.
I mean that lovingly.
I thank you, Graham.
My approach to comics, my own when I'm drawing them myself or when I'm collaborating with somebody like Kelly is, it's basically like you're
like
working
between the two of them. I don't give a shit.
And by that I mean the whole book.
Whatever happens.
Every single step. Of
I
the
guess
way,
I
you're
want
gonna
Ben
need to nudge
Shapiro to win
something
because
and
he's a
nudge
man.
something and nudge something.
Sure.
I know there's the whole
and eventually-
Christian versus Jewish
Eventually,
thing
you
there.
have to know when to step
I
back
don't know.
and go. All right, we've nudged it enough. That's what it is. But in this case, the nudges all work.
These
It-
virtue
it-
signals out of here.
To be honest, I would go off the rails with Matt in other areas, and Matt would go, "Yeah, fine."
Right.
Well,
Hey, let me just take a
that's
second
really
here. Let me just take a
fucking
second
awesome.
here and thank
War is
Chimera
evil,
for the $2
period,
super
says
chat.
Condo
Oh yeah, I
Quan.
see it down at the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Samara.
He has
Awesome.
backed the project. He says, "I love your Grendel series, Mr. Wagner." And thank
Ben
you,
always
Chimera.
hated
Much
Trump, says
appreciated
Bane
for
Mailer.
the
How does
super
Candace
chat
Owen feel
and for
about Trump?
backing this wonderful project.
I just don't
Can
feel.
Everybody in the chat, you
Can I
guys
jump
ought
in
to
with
do the
can I
same
jump in
thing.
with
I don't feel like any of these people are really with Trump right now. Like I feel like it's going to take another victory for everybody to come around and pretend like they're Trump supporters again. Because when Trump won, Ben Shapiro was suddenly like kind of giddy about it, like hooray. I think it's just that people didn't think that he was the guy, but you know what? There is no other guy. Everybody's got to kind of realize right now it's Trump or nothing. There's nobody else out there. There's nobody who's going to make a change in any way. It's either Trump or the end of America. One of those two things. Stop looking for other people. I mean, and boy, I'll tell you, DeSantis exploding on his whole entire political career the way that he did. Everybody told him not to run. You got to be stupid to run against Donald Trump because no matter what happens, he's going to undo you. He is going to make you look like a fool, and that's exactly what he did. I can't even take DeSantis seriously anymore. I don't know if he was ever real. I'm not sure. I don't know if he was just like kind of a cuck, like a controlled opposition sort of guy. But he was doing good things for a while there. I was very happy with him, and now I'm just like, will you just shut the fuck up and get off the stage? This is not your time. This is the time of Trump. It's either Trump wins or we're in real trouble. There's no other person who's going to get it right. That nobody else who sees this for what it is. Too much crazy in politics nowadays. I'm out, says Vero Frady. Well, don't be out. I mean, at least vote. At least vote for the President of the United States, Donald Trump. But yeah, no, I'm with you on like I don't watch Fox News. I don't listen to this stuff anymore. I don't I don't know what's going on in the world because I I turned on, like, Andrew and I were upstairs, like, in our bedroom watching the evening news yesterday. Just not even, like, your local evening news. And it was all propaganda. All of it. They even took a moment. They're just like, and if you want to learn how to make a tasty scone for breakfast, we'll have so-and-so back here to show you how to cook. But first, climate scientists warn that in the next 50 years, unless something is done right now, all of Florida will be underwater. And, it's like, gee, what the fuck? And then you've got Biden up there like, yo, we have to do something now. We got to do something. What is this? It's complete and total propaganda. And it's on, like, it's on your sort of local news. They had it on the local news. Local news should be, it should all be bad news mostly. It should be bad news, and then, like, I don't know, Girl Scouts are hosting a bake sale. Like, something like that, but it should be like, oh, this building caught fire. Local building, that you might have seen. And by the way, a monkey fished a duck or a duck fished a monkey out of the water. So, whatever. And then, but they're sitting there like spreading propaganda, like pure left-wing propaganda right on the daily news, your daily news, your evening news. I was shocked. It was CBS. So I can't watch it. Like, all of it is garbage. All of it is dog shit. All of it's fake news. We got to do something about the climate, guys. Okay. Remember when nobody streamed on Wednesday nights, as Case says? Kevin Dory says, you didn't read my super chat. Well, let me read your super chat. She has been pushing back on America must support whatever Israel does, and we must give them money for their war. Ben Shapiro has been pushing Israel as the 51st state, and you can't disagree with Israel. I see. Yeah. Well, I just hold this point of view. I don't want to fight anybody else's battles anymore, and I really don't. I don't want to get into World War III. And I do think that, if Trump doesn't win, then we're going to war. It's going to be a big, huge World War III right around the corner. Am I wrong or am I right? Let me see the chat. Wow, 519 people watching. EVS supports Just Stop Oil. I do. Bingo, says Kevin Dory. Remember when Ethan streamed every day? Yes, that's now. I'm streaming every day now, Captain Bippo. I streamed twice today. Yeah. I'm doing my part. Okay. Most people agree with me. Good. Okay, you need your take on Reed Richards. Yikes. All right, so, yeah, like the news came out today. People are saying that Pedro Pascal is going to play Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four movie. That is so dispiriting. I mean, to me, that's like Joe Biden, another 4 years of Joe Biden. We just got that news. That's what that feels like to me. Especially when they got John Krasinski, whatever his name is, from The Office. They could have had him. It should be him. That's his role. Obviously. I don't know what happened. But they're all spreading the news that, like, this is going to be Pedro Pascal. But then if you read a little bit further, it says they've offered it to Pedro Pascal, and he's not sure that he wants it because he's got other obligations. He would be a terrible Reed Richards. He would probably be... I didn't know Reed Richards was a Mexican. What is there, like, Spanish for Reed Richards? Can we find a Spanish version? We need a skinny, smart-looking white guy. We do not need... What is Pedro Pascal the only person in Hollywood right now? Why is he getting every single role? I don't want to look at him. And I will say, if Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards, I'm not going to see the movie. And I was actually thinking about maybe possibly watching the Fantastic Four movie because I like the Fantastic Four. But I mean, I love the Fantastic Four. But there's no way. Like it'll be so easy to just continue my Disney boycott. No problem at all. If Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards, I don't care. Fine, great. That's another shitty, horrible Fantastic Four movie. Good job. That makes 4 in a row, guys. Not one Fantastic Four movie got it right. Every single one has been terrible. So that's how I feel about it. You can tell me how you feel about it. Ethan, this stream is crap, but I love it. Thanks, says William F. I know. Sorry about that. I'm doing my best. You guys asked for draw streams. If you don't want me to do a draw stream, I'll go. You guys want me to just say goodnight? Sorry about that, guys. 5 in a row? Oh yeah, that one. That doesn't count though. I don't think that one really counts. The original whatchamacallit one. Fake one. Wasn't fake, but low budget. It's okay. Draw streams are good. Oh no, people like it. No, stream is great. No, draw streams are great. Don't pull an Alex Jones and quit. All right, I won't. I won't do that. I don't know. I was just getting some mixed messages. I wasn't sure. Wasn't sure what people wanted from me. But I'm here. I'm here. A conversation with Irene Strakowski.
It's stolen valor. Like,
yes.
I never thought of it that way, but this is just an excellent encapsulation of what they're doing. Like
Roger Corman,
that's
what I was looking
really
for.
Excited for the Rings of Power because I'm a Tolkien freak, and then it's like this is when Tolkien wrote. Like he wrote a great story, and it's about my favorite thing, the Numenor. Like this is a great freaking story, and now what? They're having like love stories, and Adriel and Sora. And I just think, you think you're better than Tolkien? Who are you?
I know. It's like
I love Irene.
Okay,
Randy McRanderson. How about if people who don't like draw streams go and everyone else ignores them? Yeah, there you go.
Well, he was part of it, so you know what I mean. So
Too
shame on
bad
him.
she hates you now. She doesn't hate me. She's like, that's a lie.
Didn't get distracted writing other stuff.
That is a lie.
Position. But like Tolkien is like this is like the father of fantasy, just plays like the Tessica of Western fantasy. I just don't understand the fact that they're just like, we're gonna tell a story Tolkien never told. Well, he never told it, and also it's also complete BS. I'm very invested in this. I'm so mad at Rings of Power. I'm even more mad at that whole Blood Origins, that Witcher show that wasn't like the Witcher at all. What the heck was that?
The Witcher. I don't know. I didn't watch it because the first season sucked. The comics are great. I see you get mad. Your eyes are all teary. I'm
so angry.
But my friends are like, you got to watch The Witcher. And I watch it. I'm like, this sucks. I don't like it's set in the fantasy world, but they talked with like modern expressions and stuff. It took me out of it. And the CGI sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I do that too in Fiendish, but I do it for a very specific reason.
Well, you didn't take me out of the story because I really didn't notice too well, like they use modern curse words and stuff, but that kind of fits because you don't want to use scallywag, that would take me out of the story too.
Yeah, no, it's different. I wasn't going for standard fantasy, but in The Witcher, it's just The Witcher has a very clear established lore and vibe, and I thought the first season was okay. There were many flaws, but it was okay, and it was mostly saved by Geralt. Like Henry Cavill he actually cared and he was trying to do a good job, and then it became
he's like a guy he plays Warhammer. I want him to come over and play Dungeons and Dragons with me. He just seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, he actually likes this. He's a legit nerd. He's actually invested in these stories, and that's why they kicked him off. He left. Right? Yeah, sure. They made it so horrible and insufferable for him that he had to leave. But there was like all this bullshit that came out afterwards. Oh, he was.
Vera
Like,
Freddy says, just because you pay attention to the chat, thank you for $10.
Well, maybe he should be criticized because he's invested
Kind
in
of
the
you.
source material. You don't know what you're doing because you ruined the series.
Yep. Yeah. I forced myself to finish the first season because I'm a completionist, and I just heard I heard the reviews of the Rings of Power, and I was just like, this isn't what happened. Galadriel didn't go to Numenor. The elves weren't allowed on Numenor. You know. I just get so mad, and I understand like for realistic reasons, you might want to compress the storyline into the lives of one human because it's going to be jarring to have to. I can understand a book cannot be directly translated into a show or a TV series, but like, man, oh man. I remember the first time I got livid is I love the Dresden File books, and they made a Dresden File TV show. And in the first episode of the TV show, they had Dresden picking up a waitress and like having casual sex. I'm like, did they read these books? Like the fact that he is like falls in love, and when he falls in love, it's like he's all encompassing. He's like a chivalrous knight, and he won't cheat on a girl. He won't just sleep. Is a major part of that character. And in the first episode,
Bub66. Here's another Cyberfrog sketch done.
Magic, and if they called it Magic Guy Detective, I'd
figure out
probably
who
have liked
this
the
was
show. But
for.
I'm like, this isn't Dresden Files. So
Right,
whenever I
that's
hear
exactly-
I'm sorry.
Oh no! Sorry, I was gonna say that's kind of similar to what I was thinking when I watched Rings of Power. It's almost like I did. Unfortunately, Lord have mercy on my soul, because it's like if they had just made a fantasy series and didn't call it Tolkien and didn't call it Lord of the Rings, it would have been. It would have been
Elf
better.
Fantasy World. Yeah, Elf World or something.
Yeah, even what is it, The Witcher and even Blood Origins. I mean, it's just bad on its own, even if you don't tie it into The Witcher. But just the fact that it has nothing to do with The Witcher, it's like I think these people, they just want to create something like what the old masters have made. Right? They want the valor.
Now they have the gravitas of Tolkien's work, and they didn't earn it.
Right, but they want that gravitas, but either they can't or they're not willing to put in the effort to build something from the ground up. Because to adapt something, you have to both put in effort, but also have humility at the same time. And I don't think they're capable of doing that.
All right.
And Tolkien's work can be adapted. Peter Jackson proved that it was a very good adaptation, and it's not even being completely exact. The movies, that trilogy was very close to the books, but it wasn't completely exact. But it was what was important was the spirit and the respect was there, and that's what fans really cared about.
There was a couple of changes that bothered me, especially in The Hobbit. Oh man, I was like furious when I first saw The Hobbit. But
I didn't watch. I'm not counting The Hobbit as part of the. That's different. That's different. Yeah, he kind of got up his own butt a little bit and got away. That was not.
I still watch. My wife and I, like in September 22nd is Frodo's and Bilbo's birthday. We have a Hobbit weekend. We watch Lord of the Rings. I got big fuzzy slippers. She'll make up. We get we cook.
Tom
like
Tuttle says, in honor of completing my 90s Cyberfrog collection for dinner tonight, I'm eating an entire chicken. My grandson likes to quote Cyberfrog. Winner chicken dinner.
In the Lord of the Rings.
Hey, that's great. Hey Tom, how are you? Miss you, buddy.
Because her nickname is
Christopher, Irene didn't know what Halls of Mandos
it's funny because
was.
she's always like, what would you be if you were in the Lord of the Rings? I'm like, I want to be a cool.
You think
elf
she's a
from
fake
the
geek girl?
first age, but unfortunately, I'm a dwarf.
I think that's what all of us are.
All right, let me see. So that's the guy we just did. Now we're doing this guy from Massachusetts.
Realistically, I'm a dwarf.
And what does he
I love
want?
this comment. These comments have been
Another
Salamandroid. They're
Salamandroid.
just making a few minor improvements to appeal to a modern
All right,
audience.
here we go.
Every
Squibs, hey,
time I
thank you
hear
for joining.
a modern
Appreciate
audience,
you. Welcome.
I want to punch somebody. I just want to punch somebody.
That's
Can you draw a Cyberfrog in your sleep now?
Right.
Because
it's 100
sleep. What's that?
People still love. You don't have to change it.
Okay, here we go.
It's also everything ties back to arrogance, because it's this arrogance of thinking, well, humans have operated this way for millions of years, right? And this is how, at least in written history, thousands of years, these are the stories that have endured, and the stories that are popular now have endured for decades or hundreds of years, and they they might be in completely fantastical settings that had nothing to do with our modern world, and even something like a superhero story that was set in the 50s or something. It doesn't really matter if the views are from a different age, because what people latch onto is the human factor and the struggle that resonates with everybody. And we understand that the world it's set in might have different morality, and the characters might have different preferences and different settings and times and cultures, but there is something deeper that everyone can latch onto. Good stories are universal, so there's no such thing as a modern audience. That's BS, and that's just an excuse for them to take something timeless and make it not timeless, make it limited to this one era, because you know what, in 50 years, we're going to look back on this era of media and think, who are these arrogant people that decided that they thought they were birthing some new era of media, and we're going to leap forward and into a new age, and everything old is bad, except maybe it sounds like this weird cultish thing that's not true, because they're just ruining timeless stories that didn't need their input.
Yeah,
Thank you for
my
joining.
wife and I actually met over discussions of Harry Potter on the internet, and now we are both in dread of this new HBO Harry Potter series. Like,
oh god,
you know what I mean? What? How bad is it going to be? Like, I try not to think about it because I don't want to get mad, but I'm thinking about it and I'm getting mad. You know. You know, for a modern.
I can start drinking too. Let's go.
Are you a Harry Potter fan also? My chair keeps falling down.
Not particularly. I did read up until book 5, and book 5 was like kind of the one that was a slow crawl, and I got bored. But I did really like the first 3 books.
Yeah, it's funny because I was getting bored of the books until book 5 is when they changed the formula, and I was like, okay, I'm in it now. I like it.
Weird. Well, I actually read it when I was a kid, and I think book 5 was probably
that's when it went from like this thick to like this thick, you know.
Yeah, I think maybe it was just like it dragged on a little too much for me, because I was like 14, and I'm like, I don't know, and he's not playing Quidditch anymore. Why is he playing Quidditch? This is boring. But
I want to address Billy Badger. He says I look like Dan Slott. It's funny that you said that, because Dan
it's
Slott
terrible.
was writing The Thing for Marvel Comics. I forget what year it was. I loved that comic so much that when I went to Comic-Con, I was wearing this jacket, and he was wearing the same exact jacket. So I got next to him, and we took pictures, and we were like, guess who's who? And it's funny because neither one of us had a beer. And then for the next 3 Comic-Cons, I went out of my way to meet Dan Slott and hang out with them. I wish I should load them up, but I can't. I don't know how to do it. But I got like 25 pictures of me and Dan Slott over the years hanging out, and now I'm banned on Twitter. Like he blocked me on Twitter because I think I followed Ethan Van Sciver or something like. My wife used to say I was the only Dan Slott fanboy, and I went like, I'm gonna see if he could come on my channel. Oh, I'm
see, I can't watch anything without hearing my name.
Yeah,
it's fucking unbelievable.
Damn, isn't that sad? I have a similar story. Actually, I've heard many stories, not personally, but I've heard so many stories of friends who were dedicated years-long or lifelong fans of certain creators, and the creators just block them over Twitter, over one comment or politics, or they followed the wrong person.
Yep.
Maybe you shouldn't mix politics with your professional life. Maybe don't trash on the fans. Bad luck.
And then complain that comics aren't selling. You know.
Right.
The story I always tell is Kurt Busiek is a big influence on me. I love the guy's writing, and somewhere around 99, 2000, I had a forum for my role-playing game, and lo and behold, who joins but Kurt Busiek? I had 35 members on my stupid. Remember message boards? Are you too young for message boards? I was running a message board strictly about my role-playing game, and Kurt Busiek's on it, talking and contributing and everything.
And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm 48.
Later, I messaged him on Twitter to invite him on my channel to talk to him, and I'm blocked. Never interacted with him, but we were friendly 20 years ago, and now I'm blocked. Whatever.
Yep.
That one hurt my feelings. Dan Slott didn't hurt my feelings too much because I knew he was Dan Slotto Blocktavius, but
Yeah, it's, I don't know. I haven't directly encountered.
Obi-Wan says that's because you only watch things in your own echo chamber. Yes.
I don't really look up to most.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's what it is.
But
I've actually scheduled talks with people. They probably researched who I was, and then when I was like, "We're gonna go live in 2 days," and I found out.
No, I was watching an Ancient Aliens live stream too. They mentioned me there too.
That's childish.
I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah. Renee not knowing message boards makes me feel old.
Like AOL, my first internet, internet era began with AOL. Okay, so there you go.
Yeah, I had to put the phone on that little modem thing. And
No, we had that too. We had a dial-up.
Yeah, and then the phone would ring. My father would call for a ride from the train station, and my internet would get kicked off.
Yeah. We did have the we had the phone and dial-up as well in the 90s. But the thing is, it's like I didn't have. So we had a computer because my dad actually worked in the computer industry. So we actually always had computers at home, but I wasn't allowed to really use it. I had a little 84 Mac that wasn't connected to the internet. So you had to put the floppy in for it to start and everything. So I was computer literate, but no internet, which is probably good because kids should be off the internet.
Probably the best.
Yeah.
And now you're writing Lovecraftian monsters in a comic book. You turned
Yeah,
out
very healthy childhood. Clearly, I have no problems.
I have to go because at 8:30 I'm going to be on RJ for the Fourth Age. He wants me to come on his.
Okay. Oh wow, I didn't know you had time limit. We just got carried away talking about everything.
That's fine. Be organic and talk. And your enthusiasm is contagious. It was a joy to talk to you. I please come back. There's so many questions. I planned on talking for an hour just on world building because I'm fascinated by your world. I love that you put little floating signposts and you can translate them. One of my favorite comics as a kid was the Micronauts by Bill Mantlo and Michael Golden, and they made up their own language, and they would put like the rebels were fighting. It was a ripoff of Star Wars. The rebels were fighting the Empire basically, and they would write graffiti on the walls, and then you could go. Every third issue had a key, and you could read the graffiti. Oh, I loved it. So I'm a big fan of you. I cannot gush enough. I'm trying not to sound like a Raven fanboy right here, but I'm a Raven fanboy. If you want me to say, no joke. Like they say that
it is
in the crowdfunding scene, there's not enough writers.
Invite Rini here, Ethan.
Yeah.
You're drawing, you're world building.
I hope Dan Slap blocks me because I follow EBS and Neurotic.
Everybody in this chat, I'm sure everybody in this chat bought your comments.
Thank you. I'll do my best. Yeah, I think I am still worried every day because I'm not professionally known as a writer. I've obviously professionally just been an artist, #just an artist, but I'm going to do my darndest best because I think story matters. I know it matters. And I hope you all keep on liking Fiendish.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Thank you.
So the 0.5 issues are going to be like side quests or
basically. Think of them like one-shot side quests. That's sort of because they could be character backstories, but sometimes it's just side quests while in the continuum of the story. That's what they are. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I think, we got this comic. You talk about American comics. Read the first 12 issues of the Micronauts. I think Marvel just collected them.
Okay.
Wonderful Michael Golden artwork. Just amazing.
Rainey is a Candace to your Shapiro.
So you can be like, I recognize.
You think
story,
so?
But it was an awesome comic.
I'm not.
But thanks a lot. I'm gonna get. I'm so glad that you came. I've been looking forward to talking to you for like 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, it's been forever, but it was a really good talk. And anytime you want to have me back on, talk about world building, I'm more than happy.
You're always welcome. Big fan. I can't wait for my cloth wrap. It's going right next to the H.P. Lovecraft's Dream Worlds. I know where I'm putting it when I hang it up. But
awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming in chat. This was great.
Bye.
There goes Rini. Okay. Let me stop sharing there. So I mean, at this point, like, I'm just thinking about Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. I guess she's gonna quit, right? I mean, what is she gonna stay? If you get publicly invited to quit like that, what do? You have to quit. Unless you're ready to issue some kind of, like, gay apology. But yeah, I am seeing, like, a lot of, like, I follow Ben Shapiro. Like, thank you for posting all the dead children on my timeline. I really, really love to see that. Really enjoying seeing all these pictures of dead bodies and references to death every fucking day. I mean, come on, dude. But he's got to feel passionately about it. I expect that to be the case. I expect Jewish people to be like, we're under attack in Israel and all this stuff. I guess I expect. It's just kind of strange when it's like an American Jew. Like, have you been to Israel? Like, have you been there? Like, do you have family there? Like, what's up? Can't relate to it, but it's okay. The Jews earned it. Says I don't know what that means. Let me see. I think Irene. Shapiro's been mad since she wouldn't disavow Kanye. Oh wow. I think Irene couldn't handle people teasing her after her campaign closed. She kind of split and hangs in the slums. Teasing her. Matt Barr says, we need to see the photos, Ethan. No ceasefire. Never again is now. Okay. I guess so. Robert Romano says, it was my wife's hometown that got hit on October 7th. Wow, dude. So that's very personal to you. Hey, we are gonna get dragged into a war. United States. It's just not, it doesn't seem avoidable. Guarantee she resented that you made her do jumping jacks. No, she did not. There's no possible way. She had a good time. And wasn't it her idea, or was it the chat's idea? I don't even remember. But I did jumping jacks too. That was embarrassing. Let me see what else is going on YouTube. Are they still talking about Dracula? No, Dracula's over. Okay, let me see. That was good, man. There's a lot of good stuff going on. A lot of good Comic Skate events tonight. More scat. That's me. Oh, Cecil. Cecil's going to be on at 9:30. That's an hour away. All right, so we can't watch that. Oh, pontificators. Okay, here we go. Let's listen to these guys.
And, they have a legacy, blah, blah, blah. But then on top of that, it doesn't work out. And then Marvel doubles down on just bad casting. Like, from what I hear,
so I know who Clint Helinski is, but who are these other guys?
The young girl, she's pretty good.
She's
like,
the
at
only
least
one that's tolerable.
There's energy. There's an attitude. There's something going on. The other two women are absolutely flat and boring. And I'm not saying that they're bad actresses, but they're not right for these roles at all. So, if you maybe had women that had good, like you said, Clint, like charisma, they radiated this energy, like you wanted to look at them.
I got to step in. Brie Larson is not flat. I mean, she's got.
This is an important conversation.
Getting herself a decent rack,
yeah,
and then she's worked really hard to lose a lot of weight. So I mean, those tits look big on her. Like,
she does look good.
I saw somebody.
What is this?
Brie Larson's tank top was the best part.
Oh, it's Clint Helinski saying this, of course. All right.
So I hate to argue with you, and I hate to have a different opinion on art.
Point made. You know what I mean? Like you call me.
I gotta step in and say.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
It doesn't save the movie though. And then I was just gonna this is my 1, 2, 3. It's like you guys have all said, villains. Like your heroes are only as good as your villains. And let's face it, all superhero, all G versus Z type storylines are determined and pushed. The plots are
whose tits are they discussing? Brie
Larson. If you
Larson's.
do not have a good villain, you will not have a good hero, and you will not have a good story.
Why is this a thing? Why is this happening?
I'll argue that to anybody.
James Murphy just finished Graham stream.
That's just a fact.
Ladies Man
So,
says, why
a lot
is
of these
Clint in
Marvel
slums and
movies,
never on
it
a stream
doesn't
with
seem
you,
like they
Ethan?
spend any
Gee, I don't
time
know.
on establishing a villain.
Never thought about it.
Making them compelling.
Maybe he should be here.
None of that stuff. They're just kind of thrown in there for shits and giggles, and that's it.
Here's the thing that drives me freaking crazy. If they wanted a female villain, okay, a good female villain, there's two that you don't have to gender swap them into existence.
Who?
Moonstone, who's basically the evil Carol Danvers.
True.
You could have her. She's Kree-powered by a Kree artifact. And Deathbird. And that's a perfect way to introduce the Shi'ar into the Marvel Universe that you can later connect to the X-Men. Yeah. Because Deathbird, people forget, Deathbird actually started off as a Miss Marvel villain.
I love how pissed off you were when you just said Shi'ar, Bob.
Stupid.
Shi'ar. It makes those characters make sense.
Yes, it makes the characters make sense.
Yeah,
it does.
It's just the thing that sucks is we see this material and stuff like that. We can see the possibility in it, and then they just shit the bed. And then they turn around and they go, "Oh, the reason why you don't like it," and that's another thing too, man. Is this? It's the same thing that's causing all these problems in comics as well. Is they get these people in here. They tell them, "Oh, you're great, you're amazing, you're perfect." This lady that directed the movie, who's now saying, "Oh, if you don't like this movie, you're racist," you know, insert Instaphobe here, etc. With it. No, here's the thing. I 100% believe this lady worked really hard on this movie. Here's the thing, and this is something that people need to take to heart. Just because you work really hard on something doesn't mean it's going to be good.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can work your ass off. I've been trying to learn how to draw for the last 5 or 6 years. Okay, you can work your ass off and it'll still look like shit.
Right. Word of mouth.
Is he saying that he's been working for 5 years? He still looks like shit.
If it would have been good, it's not. And here's the thing: it's
That's
not
funny.
just men who are saying this. There's a lot. Every freaking reviewer that I've looked at, including
This is good stuff, guys.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Here's the thing too: is they're calling misogyny. I saw.
I'm more of a fan of ass tits are not a primal target.
Yeah, Stephen King came out and said
right.
it's malcontent fanboys and whatever. Blah,
That
blah.
ray of sunshine.
Go look at any of the things on Deadline on Variety. The people that were out opening weekend to watch it, it was like 67% men. Women aren't showing up to watch us, and it's like, oh well, women aren't gonna watch us. You know, they don't come out for movies. Well, what was the biggest selling movie this year? Barbie.
Yeah.
Barbie.
And here's the thing.
Like Marvel's wanted to be Barbie, and they didn't know how to do it. They didn't know how to
You make an
bring that
entertaining
fan
film.
base. And guess
But
what?
this is-
Guys went out to see Barbie too. Like Barbie made $1 billion. Everybody went to see Barbie.
It was a great movie.
It was a very impressive movie. Whether you liked it or you didn't like it, you can't argue with the result.
But Clint,
Marvel's
there's a point. Yeah, but there's a point to what you're saying. Is nobody's telling women what to like, right?
Nope.
Hey, here's Barbie. It's about your childhood and pink and whatever girls like when they're kids. Like, that's not. I don't like little girls, so I don't know what little girls like.
Yeah, this is
They
not
like
good.
that movie. But when
Sorry,
it comes to
fellas.
Marvel, it's like, why don't you like it? It's superheroes. Like, dude, like I can't relate to the Marvel.
Well, there's no
This is
there's
not
no
good.
success attached to any of these. Like
Okay, hold
we
on.
already covered the source material. Like those characters, not big fan favorites, right? Then they got
Oh, Tim Cast. Let's see what they're
But he
talking
said
about.
it in such a way so that the jury and the judge would be like, wow, what is this crazy technical thing for which I am not understanding? If I said, Your Honor, the dude typed some words into the browser bar and pressed enter and they sent him information, he'd be like, well, I do that every day. Right. But they're trying to justify putting him in prison for a decade plus. So that's why they use that language.
I mean, after this, police state film, people come up to me and they're like, well, Dinesh, I'm not Donald Trump, and I didn't go in the Capitol on January 6th, and I pay my taxes, and, I'm okay. They're not going to come after me. And I say to these guys, I go, listen, why don't you tell me for 10 minutes about your life? What do you do? Tell me where you live. Tell me how you get to work. You're a doctor.
I ask this question to Shane
after 10
Davis all the
minutes, I will
time.
tell you 3 felonies that you can be charged with that you will be defenseless against. So, for example, you're a doctor. Okay, I'm going to charge you with illegal administration of pain medication. I will find one client
Hey, Louis
that
Fillet.
you administered
Thank you
a
for
pain
joining the
drug to
channel.
who says, I didn't need it, right? And I will then bring in an expert witness, a doctor, who will testify she really didn't need it. You'll be facing years in prison. You'll be facing not being able to be a doctor ever again, or You take a plea bargain. You pay a $100,000 fine. You don't practice for a year, and then you can get back into it. Well, who wouldn't take that deal?
Yep.
You know that they got you.
It's blackmail.
And it's blackmail, and you're being framed.
Well, it's called the jury tax.
Jury,
and
that's right.
yeah, it's some people call it the trial tax or the jury tax. And the argument they make is, well, you see, when you plead guilty, you're accepting responsibility, which shows some remorse and some change already. Therefore, you'll get a lesser sentence for that. The reality is, the emergence of this is mostly due to the fact that the state cannot handle the amount of cases laid before it. If every person in this country who was criminally charged demanded a jury trial, the system would collapse overnight.
Well, I just want to mention, because we spoke to him on the show probably about 2 years ago, but Brandon Straka had a very similar situation. He did not go in the Capitol. He was just out on the steps. They claimed that they heard his voice in the footage that he filmed saying something that wasn't even necessarily incendiary, even in and of itself. And they were threatening him with something like 19 years in prison. And so they got him to plea down, basically.
This is what I remember about covering the Proud Boys trial, right? They were all charged with conspiracy, but also if you look back in the documents, Dominic Pizzola, who had thrown some, or there was a video of him like taking glass out of a window. He disputes if he like broke it. Yeah. He got moved onto the case way later. They moved people around based on who they could offer pleas to create this idea that there was a uniform conspiracy.
Well, that's what was so amazing about the Whitmer federal criminal trial. And I know you guys had Brandon Caserta on. And the fact that you had, and the thing with plea deals, too, is they are considered convictions by the Department of Justice. There's not a category that's like, and this is true, I just looked it up, 80% of federal criminal cases, charges are pleaded out, but they're still listed as a conviction. So what was so amazing with the Whitmer Fednapping trial is that you had 2 of the 6 federal defendants who pleaded guilty and then they became government witnesses. But then you had 4 defendants who took the risk. They went to trial in a jurisdiction, really a jury of their peers, which they had. And you had 2 men, Daniel Harris and Brandon Caserta, who were here, who were acquitted outright on every single charge. And then the other 2 men who had a hung jury. And of course, then the DOJ went back. But that's why it's so amazing. That case in and of itself is just amazing what happened.
Let me pull up this story real quick so we can carry on this conversation. This is a story from the Post-Millennial. Atlanta Antifa militants claim to have torched concrete company trucks in effort to stop Cop City. This is an ongoing terror campaign currently taking place in Atlanta. There have been 61 indictments, but guess what? As Julie pointed out, as we're starting the show, these are state level and not federal level. So Antifa is actively engaged. These are people who are part of cells. These are people who have come from outside the country. We know this. And they have cells all over the country. They work with each other. They organize. They have plans. They have workbooks. And we are told consistently the far right is the real threat. I want to add something. In the previous segment, we were talking about the jury tax or the trial tax, where they force people to take plea bargains. Dinesh was pointing out that he can get, you tell me about your life and he can point out 3 felonies. I want to tell you guys something, and then I want to open the conversation up to January 6th and your film, The Police State. On January 20th, 2017, several hundred far leftists stormed through Washington, D.C., throwing Molotov cocktails. I should tone it down a little bit. Setting fires in the street, torching vehicles, smashing windows, and fighting with cops. Several hundred got arrested. I know I was one of those people who got arrested. I was released after I asked a supervisor, and I showed him my press pass. He told me, too bad, you're under arrest, you're not free to go. And then eventually a supervisor ordered the release of journalists, of which I was then de-arrested by the police. I was never processed. This group was, all of these people were charged, and guess what? Not only did most of them have the charges dropped, the city paid them millions of dollars, and it was for one reason. They all refused to take a plea deal. The state was struggling, or I shouldn't say the state, the federal government. These are the feds. They almost never lose cases, but they could not get any of these individuals. Why? Antifa wear all black for a reason. It doesn't matter if a cop actually sees you. A cop could see you, you could take your mask off, you could smile, and you can wave. And when it comes to the criminal trial, the defense will say, what was the defendant wearing? And it'll say a black hoodie, a black bandana, a black jeans with black gloves. And you say he looked at you and smiled. That's right. Could you have been mistaken? I mean, there were 300 people wearing the exact same thing. And the cop will say, no, it was him. And they'll look at the jury and be like, do you believe that? that he actually knew who this guy was with everyone wearing the same thing. They couldn't get him on conspiracy charges, and they couldn't get anyone to believe that they singled out individuals with crimes. So the entire group, in their organized act of terrorism at Donald Trump's inauguration, were not only having their charges dismissed, but they were paid out millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget the 529.
I was there at that. I was at that whole
when they
thing.
broke down the barriers outside of the White House and forced the president of the United States into a bunker instead of referring to that
Firebombed
as
the
an
White
Remember
House
that,
grounds.
Tom
That's
Tuttle?
right. And the media's concern about that was that Trump was very mean and he used tear gas so that he could get across the street and stop them from burning down a historic church.
If they, just like Dinesh was saying earlier, just by talking to someone, you can come up with, multiple felonies. If the federal government actually wanted to stop this kind of stuff, they
could.
absolutely could.
I think this is the key, that for years now, we have focused on the rhetoric of the double standard.
Yeah. We live in the logic of
look
Herbert
at,
Marcuse.
look at
You
the
know
way look at the way that the government treats Trump versus Biden. Look at the treatment of Antifa versus Antifa BLM on the one hand versus, let's say, the January 6th protesters on the other. Now, how do you resolve a double standard? Because a double standard usually has a kind of a hidden premise. And the hidden premise here is that we have a government that wants to apply the law equitably. And if that is the case, then there certainly is a double standard. They're not doing that.
Yeah.
But let's remove that assumption. Let's assume that you're dealing with an emerging police state, and now it's a police state, but we're not North Korea, right? If we were North Korea or China, I couldn't make a movie called Police State. So we have to be a police state in the making, under construction, if you will. And if a police state is under construction, it needs political allies. It would ideally like to have a whole political party that is in bed with the police state that's going to help build it. And so the police state is going to say, the police state now becomes like the family dog.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how the family dog is really friendly to members of the family and barks at strangers. So the family dog is not a hypocrite. The family dog can distinguish between the pals and strangers. And similarly, the police state is friendly toward the people who are helping to build the police state, even as it is unremittingly hostile to anybody that it sees as a threat to the police state. And if you apply the single standard, it all makes sense. You don't have a double standard anymore. They're acting consistently.
It's a hierarchy.
That's absolutely right. Well, you can also recognize them as the militant arm of the party that's in power, basically. And we've seen this historically. Communists have always done this. The communists did this in Spain, where people who are non-government officials or weren't necessarily commissioned to by the government were going and digging up the dead bodies of nuns and priests and displaying them in churches in order to persecute Christians. And the government just wouldn't arrest them when they did it. Because, of course, they were perfectly happy to see them do that. And that was the fact of the matter. And that's what we have in the United States today. Antifa and BLM run around burning down buildings, destroying people's lives, doing violence against innocent people. And even though they aren't technically owned or told to do this by the Democratic Party or the political establishment, it allows them to. So it's just the same.
When people share an ideology, they don't need direct orders from top-down authority. If they all are looking for essentially the same result, which is to delegitimize the fundamental principles that the United States is built on. If they're looking for that result, all the tactics that they come up with, they're all acceptable. Tim's talked about shared a diversity
of tactics.
Yeah, Tim's talked about that a bunch of times.
When you go to a left liberal protest where there's thousands of people, you will see what they look, man. These people lie because in their worldview, lying to accomplish your goal is fine. The ends justify the means. And what you end up with is a wide range from liberal to far left extremist tankies. And they all say the same thing. Respect the diversity of tactics. And I would ask them what that means. And they would say, well, not everybody agrees there's one way to bring about change. So if someone that we may not completely agree with how they're doing things, but we're mostly aligned politically, we just back off and let them do their thing.
I want to point something out right now. October 7th, the attack in Israel, that was a
True Believer,
attack.
thanks for $2. Solid Android is cool as hell. Hey, thank you.
In New York City, people saying they're freedom fighters, decolonize. This is what
Is Graybeards on right now?
Not every single person who
Hold on a
is
second.
in
If
support of
Graybeards is on,
Palestine,
we'll
in
go
support of
watch
Hamas.
that.
Fair point. Not every single person who was marching.
Hold on. Batman statue collector. Wait, wasn't Greybeards already on? Didn't they do the Star Wars thing? I think I watched that. I think I already watched that. Let me watch this.
Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and while technically this is a video about Scott Snyder letting a bunch of idiots into the comic book industry, all I can think about is that there was once, or apparently twice, a comic book called Sex Warrior, and I've just never been the same ever since I found out this
Sex
existed,
Warrior.
because there's a Russian pirate site I like for comics, and they will show all of the new comics, and then they will highlight just like a random older comic. So they show this, I see the cover, and I'm like, oh, haha, that'll be an easy cringe video.
Oh, thank you very much, Ashley
It was
Williams.
one of the
Thank you.
most stunningly awful comics I ever read, to the point where my reaction was just me saying, what the fuck? Just over and over in kind of a shocked way. It was just like, what the fuck? Then I was like, okay, it's only 2 issues. I'll just read the second issue. Maybe it'll make sense and earn its title in this. Nope. Second one was just like, what the fuck? So then I Google, and apparently Dark Horse Sex Warrior from 1993 was them redoing a story that was in these 2 British anthologies in 1991. They felt they needed a second time at bat with Sex Warrior.
They didn't get it right the first time.
And the weirdest thing is the original version is better, but still terrible. So anyway, before I start, First Kill graphic novel, link is in the description. I need to give an update to Jawbreakers Forever. This is a weird situation. I'm not trying to throw the pre-press guy under the bus, but I only have one pre-press guy, and a bunch of books got finished at essentially the same time. So Rock and Roll Ninja, we just need some very, very small tweaks done, and then we can go to print. First Kill graphic novel, it just needs like 5 or 6, again, very easy lettering changes. Jawbreakers Forever is ready to be assembled. So I think it's going to be Rock and Roll Ninja done within a few days, and then I'll have to decide whether it's Jawbreakers Forever first or First Kill after that. 3 years ago, Chris Arant was briefly useful and wrote a fairly informative article. Usually when I want to do videos like this, I have to piece them together from like 5 different articles, a lot of which have dead links, or all of the Comics Alliance, like they still have the site up, but it has no images. They don't have enough server space. So this is like everything I needed in one article. So what started this is yesterday, Mags posted this. And I didn't know what I was looking at. I thought it was like a pen, or maybe like, you know, when they have like, oh, it's bat night at the baseball stadium, but it's just like these tiny novelty bats. No, this is a full-size baseball bat in the trans pride colors. Oh, Jesus.
You gotta be kidding me.
Balled up tissue and something. Okay. So it's a full-size baseball bat in the geez, why is it so filthy in there? In the trans pride colors with Mags's name written on it. This is a reference to 2 things, and it's gonna make God vacuum your freaking carpet. This is just filth. Sorry. This is in reference to 2 things. The first of which is obviously Mags saying back in the day, I am done with this. What she was done with was, I believe, the Trump saying that trans people couldn't enlist. I don't know. Mags wanted to be a Navy SEAL or something, apparently. I am done with this. So fuck you. Fuck cis assholes. Fuck your bullshit. Get ready for a baseball bat to the teeth from 2017. Same year, she got into the DC Writers Workshop. And then the other reference is weird because it's a story not written by Mags about, this is, I forgot her name. It's the trans character, Alicia Yo. She said, please, I'm a trans woman in Gotham. Of course I have a weapon. And hers was a baseball bat with the grip and then the end decorated in the trans pride colors. Which is weird because Mags did not write this story. But Jesus Christ, man. Someone needs to do a well check on Mags. Like, seriously. Like, this is living in filth. So, Scott Snyder, for 3 years.
Well, he's a
actually,
guy.
It was weird. It was like seasons. So he had a DC writers workshop in which he would pick people with potential, and then he would teach them, I believe, mainly in Zoom meetings. And then what they got was it was guaranteed they would get a DC writing gig on their resume. They would produce an anthology, and at the time, writing at DC was still kind of sought after. Right now, it just means that you're a lesbian with an email address. But in 2016, 2017, there were still people putting together pitches and traveling to conventions and just networking, trying to get a job, any kind of job at DC. Snyder's DC writing workshops were part of a larger talent development workshop initiative announced in 2016. The initiative had 2 tracks, one for writers taught by Snyder with Jeff Johns, and then one for artists taught by DC publisher / Chief Creative Officer Jim Lee, along with fellow artists Andy Kubert and Klaus Janson. The initiative was organized by Bobby Chase, DC's then Vice President of Talent Development. So then we're going to see who he let into the industry. So there was a 2015 pilot program, which was invite only, and a list of participants was not made. That sounds like it was a practice just to check Scott's curriculum. And then they launched it in 2016. And we are going to see the list of absolute fucking zeros that Scott Snyder let into the industry.
Yes!
The first public class in early 2016.
Zach is using
was
my
comprised
terminology.
Of Matthew Rosenberg, Andy Smith, Christopher Sabella, Emma Beebe, Erica Schultz, Henna Khan, Joelle Jones, Michael McMillian, Michael Morrissey, Veronica Muniz Soto, and Vida Ayala. So you probably noticed that there was a real attempt to get gender parity, to have the same amount of men and women. I don't know if Vida counts as a wild card in that regard because she very unconvincingly claims to be trans. So in the fall of 2016, Snyder chose Al Goingback, Erica Harrell, Desiree Proctor, Al Letson, David Acampo, Aaron Gillespie, Ryan Lindsay, and Tony Patrick. Yeah. I mean, a couple of those names look vaguely familiar, but I don't think they went on to be anything. So then, in the 4th session, although again, the first one was invite only and we don't know who was in it. And this is a hilarious follow-up sentence after this. In 2017, a 4th session ran with writers Magdalene Visaggio, Sanya Anwar, Joey Esposito, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Robert Jeffrey, and Ryan Cady. DC and Snyder have not disclosed a reason for the workshop's hiatus since then. Well, I think it probably had a lot to do with stuff like this, because this was after Mags was announced for the DC Writers Workshop, but before it started, when there was still time to say like, oh, hey, shit, you know, if you threaten to assault people because of their gender identity, maybe you're not DC material. But there are, of course, different rules for different people, especially for trans people in 2017. I think that Mags could have actually hit a cis person in the teeth with a baseball bat and still gone on to be in the DC Writers Workshop. But when I look at this list, I don't see Philip Kennedy Johnson. I know there are some channels that really like his stuff. I've read some of his stuff. It's mediocre. It's mid. It's very safe. It's very safe, timid writing style. He's a cis straight white guy. At any moment, his teeth can be knocked out by a trans lunatic, and nobody will speak up to defend him in
That's true.
2017 or 2023. And he writes like he knows that. He writes like he is well aware that he is actually the least advantaged, even though he is the best of a very bad lot. I mean, I think I've heard good things about Michael Morrissey. Joelle Jones is okay. I myself have been guilty of kind of exaggerating how good she is. I think mainly it's refreshing to have a female writer artist who's not a lunatic. She's an okay artist and a mediocre writer, but apparently a very nice person. But yeah, like, you don't have to disclose the reason. I think I know. What I often attribute to Sean Gordon Murphy, but it was actually the Scott Snyder maneuver. Scott was put in charge of a new talent showcase that was meant to bring new blood into the industry, to find talented people. But instead, he decided to misuse it as a way to protect his career as a straight white cis guy.
Oh, you're
by
right,
hiring a bunch
Zach.
of purse puppets.
That's right.
Unfortunately, one of them bit him. As I think we all remember,
Of
Max was
course.
caught basically in open comms brainstorming a Me Too related set of accusations against him, basically for being a chatty Cathy on the phone. And then she also gave some more direct Me Too adjacent allegations of love bombing against Sean Gordon.
Man, Zach is so
This was
smart.
a major showcase.
Zach is really smart. Let me just take a minute. I never thought about that, but that is exactly right. These guys used this writer's workshop to basically shield themselves by doing favors for super woke purse puppies. Therefore, they'd have a layer of protection when they definitely needed it. Like, Scott Snyder, white male, getting to write Batman and all this stuff. And he's let all these fucking frauds, all these fakes, all these pandering to these woke retards. Wow, I never thought of that, but that's exactly right. That's why he did it. It was for selfish reasons. It clearly wasn't because, he believed in diversity or anything. Of course. Wow.
Literally. And it got most of these people from no published work or just being published in very small indie companies to being published at DC. It got them into the mainstream. But Scott Snyder misused this program. He attempted a maneuver to benefit himself and his career, to buy people off and make himself look progressive. This is the reason for the hiatus.
Yep.
At some point, he's just creating problems for himself and the industry. They can't uninvite Mags from the 4th session, even though she was acting like a lunatic. Here's the other thing. There was never a time where it's like, oh, this Mags person seems pretty calm. Mags always came off as a lunatic. This was always a situation of buying off, bribing someone who was definitely going to target and attack you. The problem is that even when you did it, they definitely tried to attack you. Even worse with Sean Gordon Murphy, who apparently tried to buy Mags off by offering to pay for some of her elective surgeries.
Oh my God.
Literally, what the fuck. But anyway, the main point about this video is now I can research sex warriors some more. Seriously, what the hell? What is this? Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. You might want to take some time off of work because you're also going to just be like, what the fuck? Anyway, before I go, First Kill graphic novel, link is in the description. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Absolutely brilliant. Holy cow. What features do you use to distinguish Heather as a unique character from other women? Her large prominent upper lip and her kind of dreamy eyes and her thick eyebrows, usually. Why does Heather Swain at the moment look like Scarlett Johansson? I don't know. All right, let me see here. What else goes on? Oh, another one. Another Zach video.
Hi, everyone. It's your boy, Zach, and this is not a good morning. Sometimes the medicine for my coffee works, and sometimes it really doesn't. So I think I'm okay if I keep this to a few minutes. But before I start, First Kill graphic novel, link is in the description. So I'm actually a little bit tense right now because Cartoonist Kayfabe just uploaded this review of the last issue of the Marvel run of G.I. Joe, and tread carefully. That's all I'm saying. Tread lightly, because I have read that issue probably 100 times. I'm getting to the point where I can't remember if I've reviewed something or not. It's been 6 years and 4,000 videos, but I need to review it, all of it. But if they pull their shtick where they just guess the story and they skim it, I'm gonna freaking lose it. Like, it took me a while, but I finally realized that these guys don't now, and I don't think they ever actually read comics. Like, yeah, they would sometimes read them, but like, they didn't treat them like you would treat a novel. They treat them just like, oh, check it out, Ghost Rider threw his chain through that guy's chest. Like, they're still at that level. Like, they never progressed above that level.
Zach smacking down.
They already pissed me off with the way they reviewed Deathblow Wolverine like a month or two ago, where it was clear they read like the first few pages and then just skimmed and guessed. I did this video like last week where I said, "Is Perch a billionaire?" Not really thinking he is, but maybe he is. Are cartoonists kayfabe illiterate? Like, can they read? We're just assuming they can read. Maybe they can't read. So anyway, this was going to be kind of a lighthearted video, and then right before I was about to get ready, I saw this, so I'm kind of tense. So this is not a review of Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers #1, Toot Toot, some kind of drug reference, I believe. But I do need to reread these and review them. I had a phase, a Freak Brothers phase back in the 1990s. I had a friend who was a few years older, and I had not really seen stuff like this at comic book stores. They would have it at head shops where you buy marijuana paraphernalia. But they also just had book sections and just like, I don't know, it was kind of like Spencer's Gifts before Spencer's Gifts existed. But I used to buy these, and my friend would always tell me, it's like, you know, the guy who made these, he's rich. Like, I mean, rich by the definition of a broke guy in 1997, sure, I'm sure he was rich. But I was thinking about a resource that we had lost, in that when I started collecting comics, basically everyone who ran a comic book shop, this was late 1980s, looked like either Cheech and Chong, or Cheech or Chong, or one of the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. These were older hippies. Of course, I was a teenager, so somebody old was somebody in their 30s. But I don't know if it was like that on the East Coast, but in the Midwest and Texas, it was, to a man, cranky hippies. Now, hippies have a weird rap, because hippie is often used as a way to say liberal or left wing, but there were all kinds of hippies.
All of them were dirty.
Communist hippies, there were left wing hippies, there were actually
traitors,
like
scumbags.
Conservative. I guess they would be more libertarian, kind of pre-libertarian hippies. And that's what a lot of these comic book shop owners were back in the day. They liked Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers, but they realized selling that to teenagers in the late 1980s was probably going to be difficult. So what they did is they sold whatever was popular. Frank Zappa has this great clip from an interview. It's about 4 minutes long, so it's too long to show. I will summarize it. And he said that when he got into the music business, the executives were his dad's generation. They didn't understand the hippie experimental music. So they were initially very resistant to it. Then they kind of tried it a little bit. It sold well, and they said, we don't understand this. We don't understand this audience, but it sells well, so let's sell some more of it. And then that did well, and it just kept doing well. So Frank Zappa was like, hey, I'm sitting there, I'm this hippie in my 20s, talking to guys who look like my dad, and they're just saying like, hey, when's the next album coming out? He said the problem was when people his age became the executives, because then they started deciding you don't produce what the customer wants, you produce what they should have, regardless of whether they want it or not. So my last store that I went to regularly was run by, once again, a cranky old hippie. As I got older, they also got older. And I've got to say, like, I can't imagine if I would go into that store now, a few years later, like, what's he going to say? Like, he's like, oh, come on in. Yeah, we just got the new comics in for this week. We got gay shit. We got homo shit. We got queer shit. We got LGBT coming out of our ears. No pun intended. The women look like they all had their tits chopped off. And the men, I would assume they had their dicks chopped off, but I know they weren't because they can't stop sucking each other off. I wish my ex-wife liked to suck dick as much as Superman does.
Oh my God, Zach.
Here's where Heidi McDonald is like, I don't know what this shop owner is talking about. Clark Kent is currently Superman, and he has always been portrayed. We're not talking about Clark Kent, bitch. We're talking about Jonathan Kent. We're talking about an industry that destroyed itself from the inside, slowly over time, but not that much time. I was just thinking about the destruction of the American comic book industry. That was not like, oh, nobody noticed the old bridge was being eroded. Like, literally, between me and a couple of my friends, there are 20,000 videos delineating the destruction of the American comic book industry. I had a friend who said something brilliant. He said the next cope that these Heidi McDonald types are going to do
Matt
is when
Barr
a
is
comic
harassing
store
Liam.
closes,
Take away his
they're going
wrench.
to say, well,
Ashley
that comic
Williams
book
says, here's a
store
donut. Give a
didn't
slice of
even
pie. Thank you.
sell a lot of comics. They had a very limited amount of their square footage selling comics. So we really shouldn't count them as a comic book store.
All right, what's next?
Which is just the most insidious thing. You have comics that are so unsellable that comic book stores sell less of them. Then they go out of business, and then they get blamed or gaslit or whatever. I just try and put yourself like in the position of a comic store owner in 2023. Like, what are you supposed to say? It's like, hey, when someone's like, oh, hey, who's the hot new writer? You're like, I can't name any from the last 5 years, but about 6 years ago, Donny Cates started getting into the mainstream, and that went pretty well for a while. And now he has to keep going to rehab because he got in a car accident. That was it. That was the only thing that happened. He got in a car accident, and that's why he disappeared for a year. There wasn't another reason. But yeah, like I cannot imagine being that old cranky hippie. And the ones who were in their 30s when I started collecting comics, they're now in their 60s or 70s. And a lot of them are just closing up the shop.
Anna is
Now, the
ranting
thing is,
about
if you
gingers.
read,
Oh, okay, we got to see
towards
that.
the end of the article.
Obviously, we got to see that.
Hi, everyone.
Wait a second here. All right, let's see. Anna. That Star Wars girl.
Important things to do, like playing with dolls or something, which was probably exactly what I did. But I remember like going back and forth, and I was intrigued, and then I was like, well, they were already too far into the movie, or was it the movie series? I don't remember, but they were already too far into it that I was like, it's going to take longer for them to explain to me what's going on than me actually watching what's going on. I do remember that my parents were adamantly shocked that I knew who Sting was, and I was like, look, it's Sting, and they're like, they looked at me. And they're like, how do you know who that is? He's like, it's the music guy. Well, yeah, I have too older taste in movies, I have learned. Torgo the White, thank you for becoming a new member. Tricky, thank you for Z Super Chat. I got the 7.1 pack with the Lilu poster pack add-on. IG, let me pick one add-on. Is there a way to get the Vampirella poster pack too? It should have been on there. You should have been able to get the Vampirella poster pack. That's weird. I think it's on there by itself now. I can go check. Oh, it's not. I can go add it. It should have been available on all of the add-ons, so that's weird. I'll have to go check on that. It's me, Hal. Thank you for the super chat. Hi, Anna. Any chance of Slave Leia poster pack? Probably not on this campaign. I'm really, really close to getting everything completely done and printed,
I'm gonna take a
and
break.
I want to just kind of
I don't know
get
if I can
all.
listen to this. Love Anna, but you know, she's just reading super chats. EVS, thoughts on latest Will Smith news? What is that? What is the latest Will Smith news? Queen Bee says this is exciting. What did Will Smith do? Ethan, please turn this, please. Is she wearing a plastic face mask? Anna looks like Heather a bit, says Grumpy Old Ninja. Oh, that's nice. Let me see what goes on here. Did Will Smith kiss a dude? Is that true? Will Smith, the dude, pegged in the rear? Really? Man, that is odd. Well, you know, what are you going to do? It's Hollywood. You said you watch every Anna show. I didn't say I watch all of every Anna show. Just watch a little bit of it, like that. That's all. All right, I think I'm done for a little while. I'm gonna go lie on the couch. I'll see you guys later.